So before we get going on getting this in, I gotta ask, like, is it me? Do you see this? These are 3/4 of an inch difference in length. Like, this was ordered as a 9-inch hoop. This one is 8 1/4, and this one is 9 1/2 or something. Like, this is like, yes, it's beyond the capability of what I was able to come up with, and it's a very nice bend, and there's no kinks and everything else, which is great. But like someone sold this. Like, I paid for this. Just drives me crazy. It's like the first thing I have to do is freaking, you know, measure this out and get it straight so I can have proper measuring points on the bike. And it's just like, you know, and that makes you question, is this perfect, you know, whatever. So yes, like any piece of body panel or any of that stuff that you work with, there's always manipulation that has to be done. But really, come on, 3/4 of an inch difference. You couldn't freaking like, but I am gonna use it because I have it and I don't feel like waiting any longer. So let's throw it on the frame and talk about our seat options and how we're gonna proceed. Okay, so obviously this is where we left off with the frame, with the cut. I haven't done anything since. All the little bits got cut off. It's still very rough. I haven't cleaned it up yet. Tank is on for placement. So here's our starting point. One nice thing about the hoop is that it's actually almost the exact width. You know, there's a little bit of tweaking here and there, but it's pretty much the right width. So I don't have to fight anything with that. And I'm taking a lot of length off. So ultimately, the length differences on both sides don't really matter, but just bugs me because I'm really only using a little bit of this. Now, before I talk about that, I want to talk about seats. I pretty much, I've been back and forth on whether to just, you know, go with an ordered seat and build around that, or try my hand at, you know, using either wood or metal or fiberglass and molding up a seat pan and sort of going that route. Either way I go, they're basically going to be roughly the same length. And it's basically going to use the same amount of frame. So I'm kind of going to give myself the option of both. That being said, I have this guy. It's pretty much a generic, you know, whatever, eBay seat. I was hoping the brown was going to be a little darker, and even if I go this route, I still may have it recovered with a slightly darker, more distressed looking vinyl or leather or whatever. But on a fundamental level, there's a few things about this seat that I like. It does hide all the seat mounting stuff nicely. Like, there's a little nook in there, and it's, you know, it's not a perfect contour on the tank, but it's very, very nice. It comes down sort of slightly wrapped around the frame, which I'm okay with. Ultimately, I'd love a more slender look, and I know that there's other guys out there that make them do look more slender, except I don't think I would have to remove this mount and come up with something different, because I don't think it has this cutout on those seats. Not that I've seen. The other thing about this, it was really easy to use the original, you can see down here, the original battery sort of mount. I just took off the bottom part of that, and this bracket actually kind of magically went really nice with that. So that actually goes in there and locks in quite nicely, leaving me to just come up with some sort of rear attachment for the seat. So going back to what I talked about before, I'm actually going to use this seat as I build today, because the length is actually exactly what I want. So putting on the hoop and sort of working with this, I still have the option going forward of using that base to make something custom. So with that all being said, let's go to the hoop. The first real issue that I really have to face is the distance I have from the tire to, you know, the top of my frame. Yes, I'm going to go with new shocks, and yes, they're probably going to be about an inch higher. I will do adjustable shocks, so if I need to lower them down, I have that option. So yes, I'm going to raise them up a bit, but really and truly, as they sit right now, I have about 3 fingers to this frame hoop. Now the original bike, the fender would have come out, so it's just like, you know, the bottoming out point would have probably been at least like an inch or two above the frame. So the fact that we're, you know, cutting across right here, it's really limiting us. Not that I think the suspension is going to move that much, but it is cutting it rather close. So this sort of natural curve that the seat has right now, originally my plan was to sort of make something a little bit more flatter and bring it down like that. Having it sit there and sort of have that little bit of curve on it, I think I'm just going to try to use it and ideally give me a little bit more, just a little bit more room between the tire and the frame. To look at this, the curve of the seat seems to start about like here-ish. So that's kind of what I want to do with the frame. I want to try and get this part, at least the illusion of it, to start the upswing, the tiny little upswing at about here. So what I think I'm gonna try and do today is I'm gonna take the top half. So where this bracket comes up, there's a weld on both sides here. So what I'm gonna try and do is sort of do a yin-yang kind of thing. I'm gonna take the top half of this pipe off, maybe just for 2 or 3 inches to maybe about here. I'm gonna slice the top half off, and then I want this to kind of come up and sort of meet it, sort of like that. And then in that, I want to sort of manipulate this so that it's a little bit of an angle on it. So when it goes to sit in place, it's gonna sit a little bit higher. And then and sort of just make that kick up start here with this piece of metal. And then ideally sort of get this line kind of playing up on the hoop a little bit, but having it start back here. So I hope that makes sense. So that's what I'm going to try and do. The other part that helps me out is that I'm incredibly close. Like the hoop doesn't actually, the bend of the hoop doesn't actually end until about here-ish. So if I were to cut this flat off and just try and, you know, put it on the end, A, I'm not going to be able to get any plugs in here because this is already on the round. And B, my distance, like I don't have full distance. So as it is now, it's already going to be sort of on the curve. So even this part of this flange might even have to be pushed in a little bit or manipulated or whatever. But by coming in further on this cut, it just gives me sort of a little bit more flexibility in getting it set up. So I guess the first thing to do is, you know, commit to this and cut this across and up, and then we'll start to manipulate this to see what we can make happen. So the good news is that this side worked out quite well. It pretty much set out to do exactly what I accomplished. You can see the little tiny upswing on the hoop that I was hoping for, and it seems to lock in pretty well with the frame. The bad part is that this side, I took a little bit too much meat off the bone off this metal, so I'm gonna have to build that up a little bit, and as well, my width now comes into play just by not having quite so much hoop. The 8-inch width is now, I'm about a quarter of an inch shy on this part. So right there, it locks in perfectly, but I'm a little shy on that side. So I think what I'm gonna do is throw a couple of tacks on that and just see if I can't get some leverage once that's tacked into place to get this one in, because I'm gonna have to just bring it up a slight little bit just to get everything lined up. Okay guys, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update. I turned the camera off for a while. There was all kinds of little picky, finicky stuff I had to do. I shortchanged myself on this side and on the inside of the other of the hoop trying to do my little uplift things. I had to basically mend in all sorts of little pieces of metal to get it where you see it now. That's basically, I just had an initial grind of the whole thing just to kind of smooth it out, and now I'm happy. I was a little dismayed for a while, but this has turned out good. I thought I'd bring you back because if you notice on both sides now, there's the larger gap and a little bit of a divot. This line is great. So I have this angle coming up and then this big gap. So I'm basically coming up with these little wedges like that. I'm going to weld that on, and it's essentially going to finish this line and make a really nice smooth transition. There you go, right there, all the way up. So I'm going to get this one buzzed on and then get the other one cut out for the other side. There it is, guys. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with it. There's a lot of little nitpicky stuff I have to do. I haven't done any grinding on the inside just because I think I need to pull the tire off, get the frame up, and just get in there and get in all the nooks and crannies and stuff. But overall, if I can sort of get that profile, that's what I'm left with. I was able to sort of build it up around the edges and then just sort of take the grinder. So where that bracket normally came a little bit straighter, I was able to start the curve on it. But those transitions with those little wedge pieces look great. That's going to be so nice when it's all finally filled in and one color. I think it's going to be awesome. I think I'm gonna call it there for now. I know this video is a big talky one, but I really wanted to get across what sort of the story in my mind I was trying to tell with this one. So I apologize for those who don't like to hear me blab on so much, but there was a lot of little information that I kind of wanted to try and convey on this. But it also helps me work through what I'm trying to accomplish and make sure that I know my plan in my mind, because really I don't. I'm kind of making this up as I go and trying to share that the best I can. Anyway, guys, hit that like button if you dug this video, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to get notifications, leave a comment down below, share this video if you think there's somebody that enjoys this series or my other series or anything else I got going on. Would really appreciate it. And until next week, guys, take care. Cheers.